Good afternoon, greater Philadelphia area. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacy Mitchell. She's Sarah Tymon. We've got Gabe behind the mic, and we all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we're streaming live every single week on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Just look up Tom Toole Sales Group. So, ladies, we've got a lot of real estate news, more headlines, more things happening. So what I want to start with is there's an opportunity in the market that has not been there, I would argue, since 2019, that first-time buyers now have a little bit of a better advantage, and a couple advantages, 3 to be precise, within the marketplace here. Are you seeing that in your businesses right now? Are you seeing more first-time home buyers kind of come out of the woodwork and say, I can finally actually buy something? Like, what are you seeing on the ground before we talk about how the market's moved towards them despite all the negative news that's been out there?
I would say a little bit, but I think it's still, the mental process is still kind of in play. You know, like there are some that like for a while were like, nope, and now are like starting to get more on board.
There's a few first-time home buyers that I'm working with now, and they came out because they thought the company, or they feel like, you know, they heard the clickbait, and you know the market's getting ready to crash, so now's the opportunity to buy. So that's been interesting. So I kind of have to educate them on what's really happening, but the good news is that they actually wanted to get involved in the housing market in the first place. So they thought it was a good time for them to jump in, even though with the interest rates going a little bit higher. It's because of the rent factor. The rents are increasing at such a rapid rate, and people are realizing it's not worth continuing to pay the rent, and let's just get into a home. So it's exciting.
That's a really great point, because the biggest objection that I know I've heard, I know you've heard this, we've all talked about this, is that I have a 3% rate on my home and I'm not moving. 65.2% of people right now have a rate with a 4 or less percent rate on their mortgage, and of all the homeowners in the country. So this is one of the big takeaways that came out in the Zillow 2022 Consumer Housing Trends Report, where they talked about who the average buyer is, what do their homes look like, and there's a couple reasons specifically where first-time home buyers now have an advantage they didn't, because if you looked at the pandemic, and we'll call that from 2020 up until about the middle of this year, first-time home buyers dropped in terms of share of people that were transacting on properties by 37%. So it's a pretty big margin. And some of the affordability challenges have affected repeat home buyers, but gives first-time home buyers a chance because they are dealing with paying rent. So that's the actual number one advantage, is they don't have lower rates locked in. And I mean, when you talk to a first-time home buyer versus somebody that owns a home right now, how often does the rate come up? Is that like an automatic? Like, is it 100% of the time? Is it 99% of the time? What are you hearing in the marketplace?
I would say on both sides, whether it's first-time home buyer or repeat home buyer, rates are a standard thing that are coming up and being talked about. But it is, you know, it's a different conversation depending like which one you're talking to, because again, if you are locked into that rate, like you know that rate, you know, versus like a first-time home buyer who like understands that rates are higher but didn't actually experience the lower rate.
Right, exactly. I have to agree. Right, if you're dealing with somebody who's already into their mortgage and they know what they locked in at, or what their 30-year fixed is, it is a much different conversation. But again, there's people that need to transact for many different reasons. So they know that even though they have a 4% interest rate, they're going into something that could be double almost, or you know, almost double.
Right.
But again, they need to transact, so it's just the reality.
Sure.
And what we've seen happen, and this is from Manny Garcia, the Zillow population scientist, is that first-time home buyers now appear to be making gains as high mortgage rates are encouraging current homeowners to stay put. And that's been, I mean, there's people that are just, they're only moving if they have to. Like that, any seller right now, they're selling because they have to, and the flow of homes into the market is slowing. And what's likely happening is comparing their low mortgage rate to today's mortgage rate, like you said, Stacy, and deciding not to move. But because of the rising mortgage rates are hurting affordability for some people, first-time home buyers are less, their opinion's different because rent is still super high. Rent has escalated as much as anything else. And rent has a 100% interest rate because you're paying someone else's debt down. And it's something that, I think a lot of like people that are really thinking about this and are a little more savvy, they're now able to realize that, hey, I don't have as much competition. I can maybe negotiate a price. Sorry, Brett, our old producer, is making weird faces at me in the back here. So I haven't seen him in a while. So because of all that, they're thinking, well, it might make more sense financially for me to buy a home just with like the equity play and everything else. So that's the first advantage. The second one is that FHA financing is now acceptable to home sellers. I feel like FHA buyers were like lepers in 2020 and 2021. I mean, you jumped right in. So tell us more about that, Sarah.
Well, I mean, a lot of times when you're looking at the agent remarks or, details about the property, there was a long period of time there where for acceptable financing, cash and conventional was all that you would see. And, if you had an FHA buyer, it doesn't mean that you can't call the agent or say like, listen, I'm putting in a really strong offer with, it's FHA, but like, we've been out, we've seen the property, or I've like looked through this stuff. Like I feel like we can make this work. But where the standard was just, cash conventional. And now you're not seeing that. I'm not seeing that quite as much.
Yeah, I agree. And also not only FHA, but some VA. There was high
all the
opposition,
same, yeah,
to VA. And, it did. It took conversations with listing agents to convince them, it's fine.
Right.
We can get through this.
Yeah.
It won't be an issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely seeing that the FHA and VA loans are definitely more acceptable to the sellers at this point.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time there where like it was really tricky when if you had a VA buyer and the pool of potential properties was just so low, like you were really restricted to like, what was out there. And like they'd send you different properties and then you look into it and you're like, and then like you reach out to the agent and they're like, nope, we've already got offers in that are this and this. So like, and it's hard telling people that over and over again.
Yeah, and it's disappointing for them. They want, especially for the VA loans, they want to use their, something that they are able to utilize for zero down payment. They still have closing costs, but they earned that. They earned that, so they want to utilize that program. And then they're told that, no, the house that they want or the house that they love, nope, I'm not going to take that financing. So it is kind of like a kick in the stomach.
Yeah.
But, a case study, I had to reach out to the listing agent, and we actually had to write language into the contract that for the VA, for the appraiser's inspection, the buyer would be willing to do any repairs that were noted. So there's a couple workarounds if the seller's receptive to it.
Right. And that usually would be a little bit dependent on how many other offers, because if they've, and it's something that in like, a normal market, you can work around that and you can do that. But if you suddenly have all of these other offers in, they're like, well, why would I even,
set myself up for another inspection?
Right.
Sure. And well, it's one more thing the seller's got to deal with. And when you're competing against multiple offers, people's financing gets evaluated constantly. So whether you like it or not, the lower down payment option is a concern for people. And usually they're not cash heavy. They don't have a lot of cash in the bank. So sellers worry, well, what if something comes up in the inspection and all these other things? So, or an appraisal shortfall or whatever it is. So the fact that these are being accepted to me is a big deal. And, because of that too, I mean, it was disqualified, like you said, Sarah. I mean, there was no question about that. They've also raised the FHA loan limit. So it's going up, and it varies by area. But FHA loan limits used to be in the $400,000 range. Now they're up well into the fives. So all of a sudden, they've kind of risen with how prices have gone up. So, and it's a low down payment option. So a first-time buyer, if they only got, let's say, 5% to work with, well, they can put 3% down here, finance some closing costs, and they can get accepted with a lower credit score. So there are some advantages there. And this was just something that I can't recall many sales that had FHA financing in 2021. I mean, I just and I'm going through. I look at every contract that comes into our team, and it just didn't happen. So that's another big plus because these are people that might not be able to buy with conventional loans.
Right.
The third reason, this one's actually really interesting. First time home buyers don't have a home to sell
Yes.
because this is the biggest complaint is I don't want to sell my home without knowing where I'm going. And the flip side is I don't want to give up my 3% interest rate. Well, these people don't have that problem. They're trying to purchase their first home, so they have no strings attached, essentially, versus some sort of contingency or anything else. Has this been helpful when working with some buyers in the marketplace? I know you just put one under contract, I believe was a first-time buyer out in Phoenixville.
Yeah.
So is that something that is giving them more motivation? Do they feel better about jumping into the market? What are you two seeing?
Yeah, they're definitely feeling better about that. Not having that contingency,
Mm-hmm.
if they have other contingencies, is it's like magical to them, because and a lot of times also they have a month-to-month lease, so they can offer a fast close
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, which is in some situations, especially if it's an empty home that the seller's trying to trying to sell. Sometimes that can be very desirable.
Oh yeah. Or on the flip side, they may also have the ability to offer a longer close if the seller
Exactly.
needs if they're in the I gotta sell to buy
Yes.
position, So yeah, I think it just gives it gives more flexibility.
Mhm.
It takes that one piece out that especially if there's multiple offers in and you're really splitting hairs and looking at things, that can be pretty huge.
Mhm.
So are you buying this article? Do you feel like there's been more of an influx, or are we just at the very beginning of this here? What's your take on this? And then we'll get into some other things happening with the market here pretty quickly.
I think we're at the beginning.
I think we're at the beginning. I don't see like a major influx.
Right.
So I agree. I mean, I think we're starting to see people adjust to this normal market, and we're going to talk about how the market is really normalizing here, and in the next segment about what's going on with where the market's headed, where we are compared to last year, with a great article from Mike Delpreet. But with that, there was and talking about this, it seems like I do see an opportunity. If you're going to find people that are ready to transact right now, to me, I would go to first-time home buyers, then estates, divorces, those sort of really hyper-motivated people, relocations. And as part of this, and we're seeing this because the market is a little tighter right now with activity. There was an article on CNBC that came out that talks about there's a demand for riskier home loans as interest rates have soared. Specifically, mortgage demand continues to drop week over week, and all of a sudden, adjustable rate mortgages are seeing renewed demand after going almost dormant for the last 10 years or so because rates are so low you didn't need an adjustable rate mortgage. And with that, last week we saw total mortgage application volume drop 2%, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. But what we're seeing is there's more people looking for 5/1 ARMs, which right now is coming in at like a 5.5% rate, 5.56 to be precise. And we're seeing people looking for these riskier loans because they're not a 30-year fixed rate. Do you think that has something to do with, obviously, affordability? What do you attribute this to? Because I would argue it's also riskier to get an FHA loan versus a conventional loan because there's less money down. So we're seeing some of these products that you could not get signed if you wanted to the past 2 years. And now all of a sudden they're all back in vogue. So what does that tell you two about the current marketplace?
Well, it just says that there is a slight smaller buyer pool. So the sellers are willing to consider these contingencies, even inspections. As far as I still believe that it is much more difficult to get a mortgage these days than it was prior to the Great Recession.
That's
Depression.
documented. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
believe. It is documented.
Right.
Go ahead.
So even with these adjustable rates, you still have to qualify.
Right.
And it's a lot more stringent and it's harder to get. They're not just passing them out like candy. So I think that even it enables people to get into the home at a lower interest rate. They do have an option to lock in or to refinance anytime during those programs. But there's also, 7-year and 10-year
It goes up to
adjustable
10.
rates?
Yeah, it goes up to 10.
And then I've even seen sellers offering to buy down points for buyers I thought that was creative.
Yeah.
So to me, that was like, oh, that's a win for the buyers.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So sellers might want to consider offering something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I have been to different buyers who, were very much looking at what is that monthly cost, and especially people who maybe we've been looking for a bit of time and they've seen, how their monthly costs have been affected by the rise in interest rates. I go over some of the bullet points and say hey, there are other options. And then that's where you really also need to trust the know that you're working with a good lender that will give them the ins and outs of it and kind of break down hey, yeah, these are the pros, these are the cons. And you have to figure out, does this work? How much, is this the house that you need to get into, and then weigh out the different scenarios, and ultimately the ball's in their court for what they want to do.
Well said. And where I would kind of double down on that a little bit is that this is a financial decision for a lot of people, and some folks buy a home and they predict their income's going to go up. Like they know they're building their own business, or they're on a partner path at their law firm, or what. You're going to make more money down the line. And to me, the savviest home buyers and home sellers, they make a move before they have to. They make a move when it makes financial sense. They know it's on their radar, and that's why there's always these folks, and we talk about this in a lot of our trainings, where they could go and transact at any time. Doesn't mean they're going to tomorrow. Sometimes it comes out of left field, but then it's also a predictable thing because you talked to them about it 12 months ago. And that's a really great example of that. So, if I know, especially bring it back to first-time home buyers, you're only going to be in the home 5 to 10 years. Why not get an ARM right now? You're going to save yourself a lot of money. So a good agent and a good mortgage person, is broker. I don't think broker is the right word. Mortgage contact, we'll call it, because there's brokers and there's lender. You get all mixed up there. Those people are going to give these options to their clients, and the best agents are the ones presenting all the options right now to save money, whether it's even an assumable loan or something like that. People aren't talking about these things, and when the market gets tougher, these are the solutions that real professionals bring to the table. So with that, the last point here, so we've heard first-time home buyers are back. We're agreeing it's kind of the start to that here. We're seeing that it would make sense to maybe look at some of these different loan products that are out there. So last week, for the first time in a while, Fannie Mae came around and said they expect home prices to fall next year. So what do you two think about this?
Well, I think what's important to note there is they're looking at things nationally. So again, I feel like it always comes back to your local market. So that being said, I mean, perhaps nationally they could. I don't think that in our local area we're going to see a decline. I think that we're still going to be positive, but yeah, it's and they've also, I feel like every time that they come out with a report, it's been a revision. They haven't nailed it yet. So
everyone has revised their predictions this year multiple times. That's well said, Sarah.
And again, I want to know what are they expecting this drop to be? Is it a drop by 1%, 0.5%, 10%, 5%? I don't know. But it gives people pause when they see these headlines. And like Sarah said, it is local. Real estate is local. So what's going on in our local market might not be going on the same at the same pace as in Oklahoma, in a small town in Oklahoma, where there's not heavy influx of people, trying to clamor to get into the small town. So here we're in a really great area that's conducive to business in Philly and New York and DC. We have a lot of people, a lot of big corporations, and people move into this area all the time. So it's just a great area, and we're kind of insulated from the, a lot of what goes on nationally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I'm looking at this article. So to answer your question, Fannie Mae's predicting that prices are going to be up 3.3% in Q1 of next year, and then they'll go down 1.3 to 1.5% year over year. So that it's less than 2% is what they're talking about. I'm looking at some of these other charts, though. I mean, and they're talking about home sales are projected to fall 21% next year. I don't agree with that one.
Wow.
And we'll answer that in a second with what Mike Delpreet had to say. And now they're predicting that rates are going to go back down to 6.2%. But if you look at this year, every major reporting outlet, Zillow revised their predictions like 7 times. It was like up and down, but I feel like I was on a roller coaster. Every month it was jumping by like 2 or 3%. So I don't agree with this. I don't see prices going down until supply comes up. It's just not going to happen because of, especially if more first-time home buyers are coming to the market like we're talking about. Well, they got to buy something. So I do not agree with the Fannie Mae predictions here. What I am clear on is that we're in a normal market, and that's really all this is.
Yep, I agree.
All right,
You're right about the supply and demand. I mean, the supply, if anything, right now is so low.
As low as you think it is, it's up like 40%, depending on where. It's up 55% in Delaware County from this time last year. These are real stats and numbers that we went over, but it just was so low.
Yes.
And it's not that there's no supply. Homes aren't staying on the market.
Right.
We're going to see home sales, and you know what? We're going to break right here because our next segment talks all about this and where home sales are actually coming in relative to what was going on before. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to refute Stacy's point a little bit here in a good way for all the consumers. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
Buying a home or already own one? We can help. I am Kevin Hamill from Alliance's Insurance Agency. If you haven't reviewed your policies in the last 3 years, now's the time. New home buyers, there are a number of ways that we can help you get to that settlement table. Call us to find out more at 610-816-0043, extension 3, or visit our website, alliancesinsurance.com. Don't forget the S, it's for savings.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit TomToole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line.
The Tom Toole Sales Group is the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania with over $165 million in volume for 2021. I'm Tom Toole, and our team has achieved that kind of success by being a great place to work with and to work for. No one knows Greater Philly better than we do. We know real estate, but more importantly, we're real people. We hire the best agents and we give them all the tools to succeed. Even our brand new agents sell 17 to 24 homes a year because our team delivers the best experience in real estate. Teams deliver a better experience than individuals, and we're a top 1% real estate team in the country. We call it AAA service. We're your advocate, ally, and advisor. Because this isn't a transaction to us, it's a relationship. If you're buying or selling a home, call the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line at 610-692-6976 or visit TomToole.com. That's TomToole.com. Sell your home for more, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
For the best local mortgage service and great rates on your money, look no further than Mortgage America. We've been operating in the greater Philadelphia area for 40 years with a focus on smooth, easy access to home purchasing. Whether you're a first-time buyer, upsizing or downsizing, or just refinancing, we have programs for you. We also have closing cost assistance programs and access to subsidized interest rates. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. To learn more, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000. We always have a person available to take your call with around-the-clock human service. Purchase your home with the personalized, local service you find at Mortgage America.
Mortgage America is an equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole, she's Sarah Tymon, she's Stacy Mitchell, and we've got Gabe behind the camera, and we all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. So, Stacy, you were saying, give us what you said again, because it's going to lead us right into the next topic we want to talk about.
About the inventory?
Yes.
About the inventory being so low right now, so it is difficult.
So I would argue it's not low. It just moves fast.
Yes.
We were just talking off air how you had a client that lost on a property, the buyer financing through when they were able to buy it. So, I mean, it's not like the client wasn't interested. They just lost out because it moved fast.
Yep.
Home came back on the market. So that really illustrates my point. And the reason why I wanted you to say that again is we're going to talk about something Mike Delpreet, who's an Inman contributor, very smart guy, constantly analyzing the real estate business from a statistical level. And He came out with something last week. I sent this to our team. It was so important. 2021 was a total outlier for the real estate industry, not a benchmark. So think about that. Think about how many people are just planning this year based on last year. They're planning of continuing to see this meteoric rise in the number of home sales. And there's a chart here. We'll get it up on the recast when we put this on YouTube. Is that 2022 is constantly being compared to 2021. Yet 2021 might have been the greatest year in real estate history in terms of number of sales, affordability, the rise we've seen in prices. And if we assume that conservatively there's going to be 5.15 million homes that sell in 2022, the comparison to last year, we'll see a 16% drop in the number of homes that sold. So that's a lot. It's a big drop. But 2021 is the outlier because if you look at the historical average of the previous 8 years, transaction volume in 2022 was only down by 0.9%, so less than 1 full percentage point. And when you're comparing it to the same historical average, transaction volumes were up 9% in 2020 and 18% in 2021, which would qualify them as outliers. So now that you're seeing this, what do you two think about this? Because you were working in those markets. You've seen it. Sarah, you were in the 2019 market as well. What does this tell you about how to run your business and how to advise your clients?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a really good point and a really good thing, to be aware of that, 2021, 2020 were not normal, it was different. So, and you can only go at that pace for so long. So yeah, I mean, I think we're still, what I like about this market is there is a lot more opportunity. It's a great time still to be a seller. Absolutely. Because of, inventory, which I know we're going to break down the different areas here and the different counties. But you've still got it's a great time to be a seller, but as a buyer, you've got a little bit more of a shot at things. It kind of, and a good transaction isn't when one side completely wins and the other side completely loses.
Unless you're in the transaction.
Right, well, yeah. But I mean, even
kidding.
if even if your win is getting the house, if you feel like you just got raked over the coals, a really good transaction is when both people walk away very happy, and I think that we're going to be able to see that.
Well said. That's a really great point.
And there are homes that have been on, for a couple of weeks. And I think see those as opportunity for sure for buyers. Some homes that have to, they need a little bit more work. They're not completely updated and move-in ready. Some sweat equity would really help out. But there's opportunity there. That's for sure. And in different areas too. If you are looking into Southern Chester County, there is some new construction options out there. There's a little bit more inventory that's been sitting a little bit longer. So I've guided some clients out that direction just to capitalize on the opportunity there.
Really great point on both accounts. That I love what you said there, all joking aside. A good transaction is when everyone kind of gives a little bit. I think that's when it's a fair transaction. Everyone gets what they want. They get out of the deal. And I would argue these parties, you almost forget what happens in the transactions, unless you're a professional like we are, and then we remember this stuff until we die. But and to your point, I think there are people going other places to kind of find what they want. So when you look at these numbers here, I just find this fascinating that everyone is talking about, the housing bubble's going to burst. Look at 2019. No one was talking about a housing bubble in 2019. They said there might be a recession coming soon. That was kind of it. But if you look at the peak year of home sales, it was really 2016 and 2017 is when we saw, based on this data here from NAR, the National Association of Realtors. And then when you compare the 2022's monthly volume to the historical average, it reveals that the volume declines are less extreme than a year-over-year comparison to 2021, where you look at kind of the delta here. Like in May, we weren't that far off. It was really the beginning of the year was the slower time, January, February, March. And then we saw things kind of spike up for the seasonal trend that we always see in April, May, and June. And then July, everyone goes on vacation. They go down the shore, all that stuff. So this looks like a normal market to me. And this data just breaks it down beautifully. So as an agent, tell me what are you worried about that there's going to be less home selling? Like when you hear this data, what's your initial reaction?
No, I think that to me it doesn't worry me because there's plenty of people that need our help to transact, and you know people buy and sell real estate all the time for many different reasons, for life changes. There's things that happen all the time, so for me it's actually exciting because I get to experience now on a normal market and what is that like, and put my real skills to test here. And so far, it's doing the same things that I've done in the past. Follow up, with your clients, and I think that bringing customer service is definitely the key. You have to bring value to your relationships with your clients. So I'm super excited about it, actually. I think that there's some agents that are going to be dropping out of the game here because it is going to be so different for them. So again, that's more opportunity.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like for people that are planning on sticking in this and continuing to, do a good job and work with our clients, it's going to be, different strategies in place for on both sides of the fence there for both like listings and for buyers. But yeah, I think there's a ton of opportunity, and I'm really not too worried.
There's even more opportunity than you think, because I've heard this from people on our team, not on our team, agents across the country. Hey, there's going to be less home selling. There's less of a pie. There's less opportunity out there. Here's what people aren't talking about. Think about how much values have gone up over the past 3 years. We've seen values go up 10% year over year for 2 years straight. Unprecedented. So despite the dropping volumes, the commission pool, which fuels real estate agent income, let's call it what it is, for brokerages, portals, software producers, whomever, is going to be 34% higher than 2019. So when you look at how much prices have gone up and where commissions come in, and this is estimating that 5.15 existing home sales with an average sale price of $375,000. So this to me says the folks that know how to talk to people, know how to educate people, know how to have a meeting with a buyer or a seller and deliver value and show up and make it clear that you care about them, that know how to convert and have those tough conversations, that know all the basics, are going to be the ones that will take market share. So there probably is a smaller pool for the average agent, but for the experts, the people that know the market, the ones that understand everything, there's more opportunity than ever. And it's also going to take more time to put these transactions together too. Mm-hmm. So you're not dealing like some of these deals in the past. It was you showed up, you opened the door, sign here, I'll call me the day before closing. Good luck. There's nothing to do. Now we're dealing with inspections. We're dealing with all these other things that come up between the time you go under contract and the time you close. And there's about a 21-day period there where you're quarterbacking this thing to relieve contingencies. So this, to me, is a huge opportunity. So seeing it this way and considering what this means for your business, what is your mindset on heading into the 2023 market as a real estate agent, advising clients and running your own business?
I would say staying up to date on the market, knowing what options you have, but like for if you're working, for your buyers, how can we get creative with the financing? What have we explored all of these different options? For sellers, just keeping them aware of what's going on. I mean, I think that if expectations are there and you're providing real local knowledge, then you are doing your job. So I think do your job.
Definitely bring value to your clients, no matter what. First-time home buyers, if they've never been through this process, it's very complicated.
Right.
You have to explain it to them, not just like throw documents over to them when they're ready to submit an offer.
Right.
Sit down with them, go over everything, spend some time. You're building a relationship, and I think that's what it comes down to. Mm-hmm. And I think, the past couple of years, there wasn't relationship building for the most part.
None.
Like Tom said, you go out, you meet them, open the door, they're putting offers in. Well, now you have to take the time. You have to do that. And like Tom said, too, you're showing that you care about these people and you want to genuinely help them through this process, whether it be buying or selling, because that's what it's going to take. You can't just show up and say, hey, I'm the best person, so use me, and that's going to be the end of it.
Right.
People deserve value. They deserve, the explanation. It's the biggest, it's the largest purchase or sale in their lifetime for the most part,
Mhm.
you know? So you have to think of it that way. You have to put yourself in their situation.
Mhm.
How do you want to be treated?
Right.
So I could not agree with you more. And I also anticipate that we might see the inverse effect of what a lot of people thought would happen, that a lot of agents leave the industry because if employment goes up, unemployment goes up, right? I think some people are going to reconsider and get into real estate again. And what's going to happen is we're going to have people leaving and coming at the same time. So the number may not change at all, or it might be down slightly. So that should be interesting. But in my view, I see this as spelling opportunity, because if you can convert, knowing that, I see the prices some of these homes are selling for. We were talking off air about a property that I sold that Stacy since sold, and it's almost doubled in value in 10 years. And it's a 3-bedroom, 1,000 square foot row home.
Yep.
Not in Philadelphia. We're just going to leave it there. It's not like it's downtown or anywhere like that. So because of that, there is more opportunity there for sure. And the agents that are maybe slumping or having that bad self-talk, or they're not really in this for the long game, getting disciplined, which is the foundation for freedom. That's what discipline is. Getting disciplined around, here's my daily routine. I know anyone I talk to now, I can't expect to even come close to selling them or helping them list their property for 90 days, because that's really got to be the mindset. Understanding you're in the long game for follow-up, which, Sarah's been working on listings for 6 months. Plus, Stacy, I know you get this as well in the day-to-day of your business. It's all about that long game and doing things that your future self is going to thank you for. And not enough agents want to do that. They want to skip right to the results. They want the magic bullet. They want the pill they pop or whatever, like the red pill from the Matrix, whatever it is. They want to jump right to the results instead of have that build-up and that momentum. And that's really what this is all about. So to give some perspective here on what's happening in our market. So we've seen, I'm going to just give some quick stats here on number of closed sales. So we're seeing a 16% drop on average compared to 2019. So year over year in Philadelphia in the third quarter, we saw a 20% drop in closed sales, saw a 21% drop in Montgomery County. We saw an 18% drop in Delaware County, and we saw a 25+% drop in Chester County. At the same time, the average sale price is up 11% in Chester County. It's up 12.3% in Delaware County. It's up 6.2% in Montgomery, and it's down 1.8% in Philadelphia. So we're seeing that Philadelphia is a little bit of a different market than the suburban markets, but those numbers are starting to outpace the ones that are selling. So when you see this, we know what Mike Del Prete said, the commission pie is bigger. How are you applying that to running your business in the day-to-day?
I'm really taking more time to nurture people to the fullest extent, just so that I can develop and build those relationships stronger, so that they know I'm going to be there when it's time for them to transact. Like you said, Tom, it might take a little bit longer. They might not be ready 6 months, 9 months, or next year. Maybe there's some things that came up and they're like, you know what, we're gonna wait until next summer. Well, that doesn't mean you just toss them aside and they become a bad lead. You know what I mean? That just means that you keep providing value to them. You keep them up on the market, what's going on, so that when it does come time for them to transact, they're going to still be, the information's going to be relevant to them. They won't feel like they've been out of it. And you've been a part of that process.
Right.
So they're going to be able to depend on you, and that's building trust.
Right. And I think it's interesting how you mentioned a lot of people, they want to jump right to the result. And if it doesn't happen right away, then blah, I like the part of once you've had those initial conversations with them, and then it's not like a new call that you're making. It's like checking in and how is everything going? And you already have rapport. I like that part of it. And then it makes the end result, when they are ready and you're still forefront on their mind. And then I feel like the best feeling is when you get somebody under contract and then ultimately to the settlement table that you've been working with for a really long time.
Yeah.
Yep. I like that part of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's because you're a good agent versus the people that don't, the people that don't last long in this business, they look at it as turn and burn. They don't take care of their clients. We've all seen these people. The client basically wants to murder them at the settlement table because they're so ticked off. So that there's all this relationship tension and not task tension. And when an agent makes it about the person, not the property, that's when they have a long career of success. And too many of these people, they just don't, and they don't even know how to talk to people sometimes. Imagine picking up the phone and asking someone, hey, you want to go see this home? Are you pre-approved?
Right.
Like, there's no relationship building there. And that's what a lot of agents do. Or that they go off, why didn't you hire me on like expired and for sale by owner calls? Like, I mean, there is, like, manners are just not taught. Like, it's wild to me. I don't even know how they speak to people that way. All that in mind, that's mean there's more opportunity for people like you, Sarah, like you, Stacy, for people that work with our team, and the kind of folks that we want to associate with that believe the consumer deserves better. So on that note, we're going to take a break. We're going to get off our soapbox here, and we're going to come back and talk about business planning for 2023 with our agent segment. May not be the sexiest topic. To me, it's one of the most critical to have a thriving real estate business. This is Toole Time, Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole of the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line. If you're thinking of becoming a real estate agent in the greater Philly area, I have a special offer for you. Our team did $165 million of volume in 2021, making us the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania and a top 1% team nationally. Our agents love us because we offer them a successful career, a great life, and an unbeatable culture. Agents who've been with us for at least a year average 30-plus sales. Even our brand new agents average 17 to 24 sales a year. We offer proven systems and expert training. We help you set more appointments and sell more houses. Now here's the offer. If you don't have a real estate license yet, we offer real estate scholarships so you can get one for free. Check it out at realestateScholarshipProgram.com or visit the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line at TomToole.com. That's TomToole.com. Get more out of your real estate career, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
You shouldn't have to deal with all the red tape when getting your mortgage from a big or online bank. At Mortgage America, we have access to big bank money, but with the personalized and detailed service of a local bank. We are here in your community and ready to serve with fast settlements, low down payment options, and first-time homebuyer programs. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. For more information, visit our website at MyMortgageAmerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000.
Mortgage America's equal housing lender. NMLS 1285001.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit TomToole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line.
Buying a home or already own one? We can help. I am Kevin Hamill from Alliances Insurance Agency. If you haven't reviewed your policies in the last 3 years, now's the time. New home buyers, there are a number of ways that we can help you get to that settlement table. Call us to find out more at 610-816-0043, extension 3, or visit our website, alliancesinsurance.com. Don't forget the S, it's for savings.
All right. We are back on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacy Mitchell. She's Sarah Tymon. Gabe's behind the camera, and we all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group with RE/MAX Main Line, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we're streaming live every week on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. I love the reaction every time I say we've been #1 since 2018, like it's a surprise. But I appreciate the enthusiasm, ladies, more than you know. Means a lot. Love
awesome
that.
to hear that, though. It's great.
Yeah.
You know?
And we will be #1 for 2022. I can tell you right now. So there's no question there. So anyway, business planning, right? So this is the time of year when I think a lot of agents, what do most agents do this time of year? What do you two think?
They're like getting ready for the holidays because, nobody's going to transact over the holidays.
Right.
I'm glad you didn't say business planning because that's what we want to talk about. That's what they should be doing.
They're not doing that.
People are checked out for the year. I mean, there's still a good 30, 40 days left to do some business. It's going to close. But, I mean, there's people literally talking about like, I'll see you in January, or like I'm planning my holiday vacation or whatever else. And I'm thinking, man, we got 74 days left in the year to go make some hay. Let's do this. And that includes the holidays and taking off and doing all those things everyone should be doing. So I love that you know what's happening, but I also love that we're working on business plans. So the reason I bring this up, Sarah, did you ever do a business plan before you got into real estate?
No.
Okay. That's normal. And you know, everyone's background's different. Stacey, what about you?
I have, but it's a nightmare, and it can be very convoluted. And honestly, I didn't really understand most of it, if that gives you an idea.
Well, and a lot of people don't, and I think that's the
Right.
challenge with these business plans. There's even a lot of great coaches out there that I believe in, and the plan is so complicated that people can't get they can't get past the math on it, let alone what the plan actually means. So our team takes a little bit of a different approach to business planning, and we're doing something different this year with our friends at Sisu, which I'll explain to you guys. You're going to learn about it on Thursday, but we can get a little bit of a sneak peek now. So how do you guys start your business plan? Like, what's your process? Because we've been working together a few years now. Like, do you have a process or way you go about it, or do you want me to kind of jump in what I'd recommend? But I want to hear from you two first.
Well, I usually go off the sheet that you provided us with.
Okay.
That, like, to kind of start doing like the math or like breaking down, goals, and then what that means in terms of how many conversations you need to have, how many offers you need to write, how many, it makes it all about the math. But there is, I think you have to look back and see what did you want to set you want to set a realistic goal that's above what would be above what you've already done, and something that you're going to have to work for to achieve, but not something that's so unrealistic that you're like, partway through, like, well, why this number doesn't make any sense, So I think, kind of looking back at your track record, figuring out what you could do differently in the next year in order to outpace what you've done before, and then kind of see what doing these different activities and then getting these different deals done can do for you.
Love that.
And I think you have to really think about what is it that you want? Like, what is your, not only your business goals, but your personal goals?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to, have a kitchen renovation next year? Do I want to take a vacation at a certain amount of time, at this time? What are those personal goals? And then what are your business goals too? Is it a number of transactions that you want to do? Is it a certain amount of money that you want to make? You have to really break it down. Do you want to get into a different aspect of the business? Do you want to continue your education? There's so much involved in goal setting, I think. But it all goes around that business plan, because how are you going to get to all those goals?
So beautifully said by both of you, because a business plan's got to mean something to you. If I appreciate you use the sheet that we work with and we train on, because they don't teach business planning in your real estate licensing exams. No. That's probably one of the reasons why 87% of agents fail. That's why people with us, they end up doing a lot better. So if you're ever thinking about getting into real estate, check out our scholarship program. It's realestatescholarshipprogram.com. More importantly, I think you said it well. What are your must-haves? Like, what bills do you have to pay? Sarah, you just moved. I imagine that was like a business planning thing for you and your husband. You look really excited about the move here.
No, it's.
But you guys probably plan for this, though,
yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then you have to factor in, additional costs and additional things. And, nobody wants to be in a position where you're like, how am I going to pay this? So, yeah.
So, but it's like there's people that they want to move. There's people that are going to want to move. They want to buy a car. They want to pay off some debt. They're having kids, right? Your kids are going to daycare. Like, there's all these costs, right?
Yep.
So the number one thing I'm clear you need to figure out is how much money you need to make to survive, period. And then to hit your goals after that. So there's a financial component to this. And then on top of it, then it's, okay, how many homes do I need to sell to achieve that? And that's where people get lost. And then there's an easy way to back out the math and do all that. So it's, what are your must-haves? What are the costs? Key word here, after taxes, right?
Yep.
A lot of agents don't pay their taxes. So what are the costs of your must-haves after taxes? Calculate the number of sales required. Then what do you do after that, Stacey? How do you get there? So what does that mean to you?
That means how many conversations I need to make daily if you're really chunking it down. How many appointments do you have to have weekly? You have to know these numbers so that you have something to shoot for. You really have to have targets that you're trying to hit. There's going to be days that you don't make it, that you don't meet those for whatever reason. Things happen. It is life. But then there's other days you're going to overachieve. But you have to have a target to work towards.
So when you say number of conversations, so you're tying it to math is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Right? Is that what you do? Because I think everyone's a little different.
Yeah, I mean, I know generally what needs to happen, but I also would say it's also like kind of keeping an eye on, and you always need to be building your pipeline, but how many, not just conversations, but like good conversations, but I mean, all of that comes back to math, because if you look at it as you need this many conversations, off the bat, only X amount of those are going to be something that like really leads anywhere. And I mean, it all can be tied to math, but my brain doesn't just automatically go to math.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, you don't have to be a mathematician to sell real estate. I've said this, I think, like 50 times the past like month and a half, because people do get lost in the math. So what you both said here is really great. So you got your must-haves, the cost of the must-haves, how many sales required, then what are the activities and behaviors needed to achieve those number of sales? So is it conversations? Is it going on appointments, which is the next part of the funnel? How many of those appointments are you going to close? What's your close rate? And then finish the plan, right? And then when you finish the plan, to me, there's 3 fundamentals that a lot of people forget about business planning. It needs to be in writing, so you got to write it down somewhere. Then it needs to be up and visual, like all over the place. Like it should be in like your bathroom mirror, written on lipstick, if that's what you want to do. In your home office, in your car, at the office, wherever that is, and then telling people what your goal is. Because if you don't tell anybody, there's no skin in the game if you don't.
Yeah, it gives you a very easy out.
Yeah,
Like
it's
if
a
you're
super
the
easy
only
out.
one that knows what you're trying to do. Yeah.
So and then the thing too that I think a lot of people forget is you can always adjust the plan. Like let's say things aren't going well, or they are going well. You can always adjust upwards and downwards. But you got to be looking at this thing every single day, because if you don't do that, then you can't track where you're going. And then the last component is tracking and measuring your progress. And this, to me, is where a lot of agents get hung up. They don't have a great system to do it. They don't know what they need to do month by month. So one of the changes we've made is there's a great product out there, and this is not a sponsored post. We got asked last week if Tomo was a sponsored post, which it was not.
Oh, that's fun.
Is the Sisu Goal Tracker, where you track each month how much business you need to book, because we know May is going to be different than December. So that's the basics of a business plan. We're getting played out here. We covered it all. That's it for Toole Time Real Estate Radio this week. If you want to get in touch with Stacy, you can follow her on Instagram. It's at @2 Mitchko. You can follow Sarah at @Ty_Ty Time. You can follow me at Tom Toole 3RD, Tom Toole 3rd. And we're streaming live every week, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Go over to our YouTube page, hit subscribe, get the notifications. You'll find out all about it. And we'll be back next week on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.